1 ounce of vodka, 3/4 ounce espresso, coffee liqueur, a ½ ounce of screwball, a 1/4 ounce of Demerara syrup, shaken, strained. Did you know? Espresso Martinis are often garnished with 3 coffee beans, representing health, wealth, and happiness. When you share a toast with this cocktail, you're celebrating these 3 wishes. But how do we get there? To immigrant parents, higher education guarantees these wishes. A golden ticket out of a monotonous life, meager wages, and thankless work. Now that I've reached the conclusion of my long and arduous years of education, I have to say, at least I was able to escape one of those 3. There is a clear disconnect between what you learn in school and what you actually do on the job, leaving me with the thought that a degree from higher education is nothing more than an expensive box you have to check off before you can apply for a job. We're conditioned to believe that college is an essential part of what makes a successful American. But when you develop a curriculum with this self-serving expectation in mind, it will suck. The point of contention is not that I dislike education. It's more that a lackluster higher education is society's answer to training the new generation for unavailable careers at an obscene cost. Some make the argument that higher education equips you with background knowledge for your career. While in high school, I paid a couple hundred to learn that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. In undergrad, I paid $16K a year to learn a slightly nuanced version of that same lesson. In grad school, I paid $30K a year for a PhD to ramble on and on about the wonders of the mitochondria, down to the most minute, insignificant details. In all cases, this info was best kept in high school, explained much more clearly on YouTube, and remains unused in my everyday job. When you frame it like that, anyone would be left feeling like they could have passed licensure exams by studying from their prep books at 18 years old. All we're doing is following a bloated curriculum set by accreditation standards to delay the next graduating class and increase academia's revenue while hiding behind the guise of higher practicing standards. They refuse to admit that a job is just a job at the risk of undermining their own careers. No matter how rigorous the education, there is no supplement for work experience where the most learning occurs, and one should not have to jump through so many hoops for a piece of parchment that says you're qualified to do a job you've never even practiced. After all, so many workers can be grandfathered into their roles without the credentials that they demand from their new hires. What else does higher education have to offer? Professionalism? Some use the academic environment to develop their soft skills, aka the art of office politics and sycophancy. Unlike your GPA or degree, you can actually use these to get your foot in the door by assimilating to a culture of corporate lingo riddled with ambiguous requirements and hollow compliments at the risk of devolving to passive-aggressive taint. Still, these flaws are overshadowed by the sheer volume of messages that tell us how education can make us successful. It's no wonder that the dominant American culture believes that the purpose of life is self-preservation. So, wired by caffeine, we accelerate through our youth, taking on task after task, exam after exam, mingling with higher-ups, stopping for nothing, hoping for a grand payoff, only to be rewarded with tedium. The tedium of everyday life. Because work is shit. Having undergone years of training and personal experiences, driven by a desire to help others, just to be docile and obedient, is shit. To have our youth stolen by mundane practices upheld by these enigmatic accreditation boards is shit. To be pushed along the stream, working 40 hours a week for a 2-week vacation for the next 40 years, half awake, half asleep, is shit. To surrender ourselves to a system that treats us as nothing more than dispensable cogs, whirring in constant motion, as inconsiderate and unfeeling as the hands of time themselves, is suffocating. So we're left adrift, focused solely on fulfilling that sentiment of health, wealth, and happiness the only way we know how, by feeding a bank account as a sort of measurement for progress. After all, loss of autonomy takes all but one choice: how to spend your money. And therein lies the fatal misunderstanding. A toast must be shared between at least 2 people. And when you toast those 3 wishes, you wish them for others, not yourself. So in my search for a silver lining, I can only borrow the thoughts of David Foster Wallace. If higher education has any purpose, it was to teach us that we, in our everyday lives, have a choice. We are given a blueprint on how to excel at our jobs, behave, and obey our corporate masters. If you choose to believe that this is all education is meant to provide, then sure, there's nothing that says we can't just do this and reap the fruits of our 8-year dedication to an institution and commit to the cycle of gathering and spending. But if you really paid attention in class, if you were truly present during all your experiences, it becomes clear that understanding the rules allows us to push the boundaries, find loopholes, and expose them, all to serve our peers and those below us, rather than fearing those above us. That we don't have to drift, eyes shut, that beyond the stream, past the estuary, is the infinite ocean, that there is something else to consider beyond our own wants and needs, what some may dub as empathy. This, I'd surmise, is the purpose of education. Note, I'm not excusing the education system. It's still shit, and will likely continue to be shit. But what I'm offering is a bit of optimistic nihilism, to show us what it means to be human, that we are somehow connected to everything in this world, seen and unseen, whether we want to be or not, to show us not how to nourish our physical bodies with all the things a fancy income can provide, but how to nourish a soul with the universal language of compassion, a true expression of the soul, the Espresso Martini. Cheers.